Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tikit Tech Burst webinar, email filing edition, conference call hosted by Andrea Foot herself. My name is David, and I'll be your conference manager for today. During this presentation, your lines will remain on listen only. If you do require any help from the operator, just press *0 on your telephone. I'd like to advise all parties this conference is being recorded. And I'd like to hand over to Andrea. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Devon, and thank you everybody for your patience. I've had some good old technical errors trying to get myself set up and running. Appreciate you joining us again today for another short, sharp burst of technology. And the aim of today is to give you a quick look at ways in which you can file emails efficiently, just to take away that particular challenge. As with last time, we're using a document management system to show you this, and the product we've got is a solution called NetDocuments. This is a cloud-based document management product. It's designed for law firms, and it lives in the cloud, and that means that everything's stored securely off-site. So happy to tell you more about that if you want to come back to me and ask questions. Talked about it being in the cloud. Broadly, what that means is you can pretty much get at it anytime, anywhere, securely. We've just got a firm who are looking at putting the solution in. They've been playing around with it, and the comment from one of their people who had to be at home was, "Gosh, it's so much easier just to be able to connect and get at what we need without having to fight the system." So that's the sort of human benefit that one gets from these solutions. But the aim of today is to really take you through looking at how one might use it to help better manage emails. And there's all sorts of stats bumbling around, but one of the key stats for email is that about 70 to 75% of documents stored in a DMS these days are email. And increasingly, it's our communication, it's how we're talking with our clients and internally about what's happening on matters and the day-to-day handling of a file. So cracking that topic is obviously quite important to a lot of our clients out there. We're looking at really the front page for NetDocuments, and this is a dashboard that you can configure to suit the way that you prefer to see things. I've got mine set up in 3 columns. I've got it split into some work areas that suit me. It's very quick for you to configure this for yourself, but the important point here is that just quickly looking down here, you can see, hopefully, you can spot things that have been filed. So we've got a range of different items on my regularly used list, and we've got some emails that are sitting here available for you to look at. So if we look at this the other way, really let's start where the emails come in, which is sitting in your outbox. Now, depending on if you've got a document management system, you might be putting things against a matter or a file. What we also see is lots of people having very complex folder structures and just making sure that they store everything in the folder structures using sort of a drag and drop, or they get to the end of the day and go to their sent box and start identifying what they've received and storing that away. The challenge of having things in your own inbox is that, if you happen to be away or you move on, it can be hard to kind of aggregate those emails that you've received. And so what we're doing with the NetDocument solution, if we look to the right-hand side here, is what we've been able to do is to take an email and put it against a folder in the document management system. Now, this is where the nuts and bolts of this come in. This could be a very quick act of saying, I've got a matter here. It happens to know that I've profiled this particular person to one of the matters in my system before, and so I can just click on that, and that will take it away and profile it into the DMS. So that is really the quickest and simplest way to store things. So it sort of rewards good behavior. The more you file things into your DMS, you can just see that's checked itself in there. The more you file things away into the document management system, the more it knows who you work with, the more it can predict. You can just see down the bottom of the screen, it's popped up a thing to say it's filed that email away. So that's really sort of the first thing. As you're sitting here, you can say, well, oh yes, no, I want to put that in this file, on that file. We can also create folders and drag and drop them. So part of the art of setting this up, which is where our skill set comes in, is to help match to you as a team and a user if you have a preferred method of getting things stored, you can still keep to your filing structures, and you can map those to a folder in the DMS. So you still keep the original structure that you're used to, but store it back up into the cloud too, so it's safe and secure. The next option is you can say, well, actually, this is less obvious. I want to be more precise about what I'm saving. So at this point, I've told it I want to do a more controlled save into the document management system. Here we can see this is actually made up of a number of things. We've got some options. We can just save the message file. We can save just the attachments, if we want, the message and the attachments, or we can save just the attachment. So you don't have to, if it's just the attachments, you don't want the here's the document Andrea email, you can do that. So you can pick and choose how you file things away. Let's just go for the whole, well, let's do both actually. If we then say, well, where do I put it? It's showing us, we can see our most recent locations. So we can see the files that we've worked on more frequently, and this would reflect your matter structure. You can actually put a document, an email into multiple files if you want to. So sometimes you reply to an email, the client says, yes, that was great, we've done this bit. Oh, by the way, about that other piece that we're doing. So you can pick the file up and file it away. The system isn't duplicating it, it's just creating different pointers. So when you look in the relevant file, you'll see the right thing. And another clever piece of this is if we're all behaving ourselves nicely in filing our emails, theoretically, you and I might both be copied in on the same email. You and I both might file it together. NetDocuments is smart enough to know, well, I've actually got a copy of that and I don't need it stored away. So there's lots of smarts running behind this. So at that point, that could be enough and we could save and close and move on. We can also do multiples of emails. So you could grab a bunch of emails and say, just put these all against the whatever file, the ticket file, the whatever file, BT file. Moving on, one can become even more detailed. You can start to allocate document types to things, and these can be predefined. So this has a benefit later on, which I'll show you. But we could say, well, that's an email, and the author if we can start typing if we're not sure who it is. And we can also look at, so I've got a list of potential authors. I've also got one called external because it's come in. Again, we can set defaults for their standards so that I'm clicking very slowly through this. The reality is you'd come in and say, I want the attachment, I want it on this file. These will probably be pre-profiled based on how you like to see them. Save and close, job done. And at that point, it will be processed. And we should start to see the thing popping up to say, fingers crossed with my luck with technology this morning, that it's checked it in. There we go, they've been checked into the system. Now, NetDocuments will then process that and start to put it into the filing structure. But if we go back into our NetDocuments page, let's pick a matter. This has been set up as a standard to just group things by particular types we're seeing. I happen to want to see anything about clouds separately. The emails, they haven't been processed into this section yet. We split documents, the marketing documents out. That layout is configurable. If I actually go to my recent document list, that's probably going to be a more relevant look. There are things that I've been filing earlier today. So we can say, well, actually, I want to, at this point, we can look at a filed email. You can preview it here, so you don't have to pull it out of the system. So this is looking at, and it's now loading the attach. I've actually told it. I'm doing well today. I've been put off my stroke. I picked a Word document, not very bright. We can preview the email. So rather than having to open it, we can do that, or we can just look at the preview of it. We can also see the details that sit around it. So the nuts and bolts of where we filed it and attachments and where it's held, versions and so on. So that's at your fingertips. And if these are things, once again, that you would regularly want to have access to, it's an important email with some information, you can give it a gold star and it will pop up on your page, and then you can allocate it into the section. So we might say, actually, that particular one is a really important one. So I don't want to do that. I want to gold star it. When I go back to my home page, there it is, and I might say, well, actually, this is in my my current list, and I want to know it's there, so I don't have to go around and look for it. So very quickly, once again, I hope that gives you an idea. I haven't touched on searching. We're going to talk about searching next week, but anything in the email contents and the attachments, so you can choose, if you look at the everything option, when you do a search, half the problem is looking for these things. We'll come and look at that next week, but it will search right into the attachments. And if there are PDFs that are attached, there are components you can put on that will index those, so you can include those in the search too. So apologies for running a smidgen late with that one. I think the summary for this is quite a, it's an ongoing and it's a nitty-gritty task that just needs to be done. That was receiving emails. As we send emails, we do a corresponding thing. We can send and file and profile as we send out. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible to make sure you capture as many of the emails that are coming and going as you do it, rather than having to go to the end of the day and tidy things up. So I hope that has given you a flavor of some of the email filing functions. If we can tell you more about the solution, please do ask. The devil is in the detail with this sort of stuff, so feel free to raise a question. The data for this solution is hosted in Australia, so data sovereignty is covered. You know it's not going to be posted elsewhere. And really, if we can help further in the future, either join our next session where we're going to look at searching in more detail, or put a note on Q&A, or get in touch and let's see if we can answer your questions. So that covers our tech burst. Quick, short and sharp tech burst for the week.